Hello, good morning to everybody in the US. Good evening to everybody in India. And welcome to our Pravachana Malika talk number 45. So today we're having a talk on combating bacterial diseases impacting human and animal health. And we're very excited to invite our featured speaker today, Professor Roman Ganta. He is a Curators Distinguished Professor at University of Missouri, and he's going to give us the keynote talk today. And for the rest of the program, we'll start with the prayer. We'll have Sangeeta Anjali, and then my father, Dr. Prabhakar, will introduce the speaker, and we'll have some experts give some concluding remarks, Dr. Adi Gundlapalli and Dr. Chandra Reddy. So with that, we'll start with the prayer. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यसेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Chulagayare, you can start. Hello. Okay. So,
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaistustuvagam Sastanobhih Vesema Devahitai Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedha Swasti nastakshyo Harishtanemihi Swasti na Brihaspatirdhadatu Om Shanti 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 Om Agnenaya Supatharaye Asman Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidvan Yodhyasmajjuhurana Meno O Istante Nama Vuktim Videma Om Shanti 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 Om Brahman Brahmano Brahma Varchasi Jayatam Arashtre Rajanyah Shoraishabhyadi Vyadhi Maharatho Jayatam Dogdrim Dhenur Vodhan Nadvan Asu Saptihi Purandhiryosha Jishna Ratestha Sabheyo Yuva Asya Yajamanasya Viro Jayatam Nikame Nikame na Parjanyo na Varshatu Palavatyo na Voshadayah Pachantam Yogakshemo na Kalpetam Om Shanti 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 Om Apyayantu Mamangani Bhakpranachakshuh Stotramatho Balamindriyani cha Sarvani Sarvo Brahmopanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakaroto Anirakaranam Astu Nirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmana Nirateya Upanisatsu Dharma Te Mayi Santo Te Mayi Santo Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate పూర్ణస్య పూర్ణమాదాయ పూర్ణమేవావశిష్యతే. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి. హరి ఓం. నమస్తే.
Thank you, Shivalinga, very much. And now we'll have the Sangeetanjali by Shraddha Rattiganti. So please, Shraddha, go ahead.
గమనరారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. గమనరారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. పరమ పురుషయే నెరవులేకని మరుగు జోచితిని అరమరసేయక. గరుడ గమనరారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. పరమ పురుషయే నెరవులేకని మరుగు జోచితిని అరమరసేయక. గరుడ గమనరారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. పిలవగాని రమ్మి అభయము తలపగాని పిలవగాని రమ్మి అభయము తలపగాని కలిని బలిని నాకిలలోనివని పలువరించి తిని అరమరసేయక. గరుడ గమన రారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. పాలకడలి శయనా దశరథ బాల జలధి నయనా. పాలకడలి శయనా దశరథ బాల జలధి నయనా. పాలముంచినను నీట ముంచినని పాలబడి తిని కజాలము సేయక. గరుడ గమనరారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. ఏలరావు స్వామి నన్నిప్పుడేలుకోవదేమి. ఏలరావు స్వామి నన్నిప్పుడేలుకోవదేమి. ఏలు వాడవని చాలా నమ్మితిని ఏలరావు కరుణాల వాల హరి. గరుడ గమనరారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. ఇంత పంట మేళా భద్రగిరీశవర కృపాల. ఇంత పంట మేళా భద్రగిరీశవర కృపాల. చింతలనచి శ్రీరామదాసుని అంతరంగపతి వైరక్షించు. గరుడ గమనరారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. పరమ పురుషయే నెరవులేకని మరుగు జోచితిని అరమరసేయక. గరుడ గమనరారా నన్ను నీ కరుణ నేను కోరా. కరుణ నేను కోరా. కరుణ నేను కోరా.
Thank you very much. Very nicely done. Excellent singing. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
So next I'll play an invocation by Geeta, Srimati Geeta. So I'll play that.
మరుగేలరా ఓ రాఘవ 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 మరుగేల చర చర రూప పర మరుగేల చర చర రూప పర మరుగేల చర చర రూప పరాత్పర సూర్య సుధాకర లో లోచన మరు గేలరా ఓ రాఘవ మరుగేలరా ఓ రాఘవ ఆ అన్ని నీవనుచు అంతరంగము నా అన్ని నీవనుచు అంతరంగమున తినగా వేదకి తెలుసుకుంటినయ్యా నిన్నే గాని మదిని నెనజాల నరులా రామా రామా నిన్నే గాని మదిని నెనజాల నరులా నన్ను బ్రోవయ్యా త్యాగరాజనుత నన్ను బ్రోవయ్యా త్యాగరాజనుత మరు గేలరా ఓ రాఘవ మరుగేలరా ఓ రాఘవ ఆ ఆ
Beautiful. She's mother of Shreyas, our own student, a good singer, a good music teacher. Thank you, Ma Geeta Aure. Okay.
So, Anna, can you please then introduce the speaker and the topic?
Okay. So today is a one interesting day because we are having, actually our friend Roman Ganta Garu, a discovery for me. Where I discovered him is when he was performing Sita Rama Kalyanam in the temple, sorry, and to his life appropriateness, 2 songs are there on Rama only. So that's Reyes and Gita, they spoke about the Garuda Gamanarara is Sri Ramachandra. And again Marugelara Rama, Ramachandra. So Rama has not left our Romanji, and wherever he is being caught. But we see that as I understood, discussed with him, and he is doing wonderful research and has reached so much of a pinnacle of glory and importance. And not only he is clubbing the human beings, also the animals, because bacteria is a wonderful subject. So, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan, that is, we have good bacteria and bad bacteria also. And we are happy with the good, but bad bacteria turns into virus or so. People are not able to identify and do anything to the virus. These days, if I ask, sir, why I'm like this, why getting complaint? It's all due to virus. But what is virus is again a mystery. But at that juncture, I think Roman ji has made a lot of research and became the most important professor, curators, distinguished professor in the University of Missouri, Missouri, Columbia. And he has been everywhere wanted, very busy. But what to do, we have to catch. And I told him, sir, you should share your knowledge to the people, not only for the researchers sitting all professors, because everybody is important, and bacteria is important for all people. And when I was studying in the school, high school, a science teacher told me, water also has got bacteria. So the taste of the water is because of the bacteria present in that. If you look at microscope, you see a lot of bacteria floating. But when you boil, the good bacteria will die. And so the water taste will change. So many people don't like hot water. And they like, that's why many people put ice, and so especially here, they put ice and make it more and more cooler and all that. But actually, when that bacteria, which is not wanted, is killed, then that hot water drinking is good. So all doctors say that right in the morning, drink some hot water and warm water, that will help you. So this way, bacteria. Even in our Vedas also, the idea about bacteria is there. So there are mantras where these kind of preoccupying bacteria is being driven away from the puja ground. Uttishtantu. So Dandashukaha. There are so many names for the microbes. And the other day I was talking to Chandra Reddy also. Microbes, so visible, invisible, and always present in the air. Invisible are more than the visible bacteria, unless you, for our naked eye, you don't see. But anyway, this is a very interesting topic, common to all people. So our professor is there to educate us in a normal, common parlance regarding this, because so many people, though now a few people participate live, but it is going to be in YouTube, so large number of people keep on getting knowledge. And it is for posterity also it is there, because the YouTube people put what is put at some 7 years back, 10 years back, and again they make it live. So I sometimes observe some YouTube channels, YouTube some important things. So I wish that Roman stock will be immortal in course of time and educative. So anyway, with these viewers, and not only Roman is in, we went to his house also for some dinner, and he called us. And then I saw him a homely man, not not a devotee before Rama in the temple. And then we could meet his wife also. And she is also not ordinary, but they all come from a small place in Andhra Pradesh. But place is not important. Fortune is important. And Saraswati Anugraham is important. So that's why we always make prayer to Saraswati, Medha Manisha Ma Agachat. So Medha and Manisha too. And at the same time, whenever she comes to us with a smiling face, she has to come. So when she is smiling face, definitely we grow higher. That's why, and so that Duruktan, so we drive away the Duruktas and always openly, boldly announce Suktan in the open councils and academic discussions and all these things. But so we are now having an interesting topic. And moreover, our Nadaveda Adhyayana Kendra and Waves are multidisciplinary society combination, so that Veda means it has not got any boundary. All subjects on the earth or in heaven belong to Veda. So Vedasya Vedatvam, they say, always to we seek knowledge. So with these few words introducing, and we have got Dr. Chandra Reddy, and also there was one, that Adi Gundlapalli. He has taken his PhD in infectious diseases, and he's a director of something. So all these big people are there, and we'll have a meet of all doctors here. So welcoming everybody here, we just start the program. Welcome, sir, Roman Reddy Garu. Come on.
Thank you, everyone. It was truly a great honor to be part of this exciting group. I think I will take a few minutes to introduce myself.
This is best.
And then I will go into what I'm going to talk. And like Dr. Kalyam Garu said, this is not purely scientific talk to me, because I want to make sure that even that beautiful voice from that child that made my day today, that girl sang the song, even that girl should be able to understand. I think that's the goal I hope to accomplish. If I do, I will be happy. I think I will take a few minutes. Prabhakar Garu just mentioned that Goddess Saraswati has to be blessed. If Goddess Saraswati is blessing, Goddess Lakshmi blesses and Goddess Durga blesses. So all three are interlinked. But if Lakshmi is blessed, not necessarily Goddess Saraswati blesses. That was my understanding. I always have been. So I think having the blessing of Goddess Saraswati is destiny. How that happens, I will also give you how Goddess Saraswati directed me into education. I think that's something my background also might help people understand. This is the scientific title. These are, of course, the title of my name and what my titles. These are all acquired titles with time, but I think the real titles are where we come from, how we progress in life, where we end up at the end, and what we leave in this on the earth when we leave. This is what I always believe in. We are, I think, by Indians, by birth, we're all philosophers. And we believe in good karma and good support of the angels around us. With that general background, my name was given Roman. A lot of people ask me, did you move to South India? They said, is that Raman or Roman? I said, Roman. And some people asked me, they happened to be from Bangladesh. They said, is that a Rahman or Roman? I said, Roman. So my name, by blessing, it can be Raman, it can be Roman, it can be Rahman. So it could be anything that people wish to be. But it was given by my father because I was born on a Swati Nakshatra, the star. The nakshatra name should start with Ro. So, and he wanted me to have the blessings like Ramana Maharshi. So that's how my name came Romana. Romana became Roman Reddy in the school. So that's the whole background. My father was a very rural farmer in Srikakulam district, hardworking, and he had 8 children. I was the 7th of 8 children. He used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and made us sit and study. And he used to say, if I'm a farmer, I have been farmer all my life, and I still stay here, I work hard. I'm contributing for the good of the society for sure. But if you take the education as a path, probably you can help a lot more people in the world. Maybe you go beyond this village, Vamaravelli, in Srikakulam district, and go maybe Srikakulam or maybe Visakhapatnam. He was only thinking not very far. And God's blessings, I think his hard work and his wishes came true. But along the way, there are many people that I have to thank. My mother, I will give a great example of how a great mother to be. That was my mother. When I was in 3rd grade, my grandfather passed away, and we were literally goofing off. Oh, it's an opportunity. Nobody's paying attention. They were sitting home and going to school at 8:30, 8 o'clock. And one of my teachers was very particular about students attending to school, and he hit very hard on my hand. Then I came home, and my mother was giving me a shower and said, what happened? Why your hand is swollen? My teacher, Kameshwar Rao Garu, hit me. I said, why? I went to school late. And I thought she consoles me, and her response was, go to school on time. He won't hit you from tomorrow. That I knew that my mom is not going to, my amma is not going to support me when I do something wrong. So that was my Adi Guru, my mother. I always respect her. And I think I say the mothers live forever, because if I have even small pain, I hit some chair, I say, Amma. That's the blessing. So the goddess Saraswati, whoever, my mother was everything for me. And then along the way, I was still not focused on education. And 2 teachers changed my life, I would say. I was in the 6th grade, I guess 5th grade. There was a training school where teachers come for training to the village, and then they teach, practice. And then one of the teachers in training, he was giving a lecture to us, and we were not following very well. And one of the teachers, he said, oh, let me tell you how to teach. And I was in the far back in the classroom, and he gave that lesson, whatever it was, I don't remember. At the end of that lesson, he asked questions. Instead of asking the front row, he asked me, Roman Reddy Nilbadra, stand up. I said, I stood up. I was very worried what he's going to do to me. And then he started asking questions, and I was able to answer one by one. And then he said, that's how you teach. When you teach, the person in the last bench should understand. But that was not the impact on me. I was surprised myself that I had that hidden talent, that I can pay attention and listen. Probably the teacher knew that I have that, but that made a lasting impression on my mind. Maybe I should focus on education. Even with that, I was not seriously studying. Some of you might, some of you may not. there was a time in 1972-73. It's called Jai Andhra, Jai Telangana movement. Now there are two separate states. That was the time, 6 months, we didn't have any schooling because all schools closed. But then somehow I managed to get through that 10th grade and intermediate because I was so used to not having serious time to study, not paying attention. And this teacher comes to me and tells, his name is Muralidhar, he passed away. He said, Roman Reddy, come walk with me. He was the headmaster and principal, whatever, the high intermediate. He's very short, but very smart, and he can pick up the knowledge and the talent of a student. Then he said, yes, sir, what is it? I said, Roman, I don't think you are focusing on education very well. But if you do, your life will be changed forever. Please listen to me and follow. And it hit me very hard in my mind. I think I should. And I did. And then there was no turning back since that time. So with that rural and the blessings of all those teachers, then I finished my college education from Andhra University and then went to All India Institute of Medical Sciences where I did Ph.D. Then immediately I came to the United States to pursue research. But let me tell you couple of things which I think are important. Today is June 29th, 2025. This is my 39th marriage anniversary. So that is a special day, sir, that I have an opportunity to speak to all of you on this very special occasion. Great 39 years with my lovely wife, very affectionate wife. And without her support, I don't think I would have been where I am today. Coming to the US and focused on science and research was not easy task to grow and build a scientific program which is going to be impactful. Like I will discuss today about how bacterial diseases, what are the solutions that we can come up with. What is more exciting, and today I'm from University of Missouri, obviously Columbia, Missouri, which is in middle of the United States, but now I'm in the west coast with California. Beautiful and excellent reason. I became a first-time grandfather. Her name is Daisy. June 18th, she was born 10 days ago, give and take. And she's a delight. She changed our life. And this is my second daughter with her husband and his Sohasini, my wife, and the granddaughter. I think this tells me that I think my life is fully connected, professionally and personally. This delight, happiness, something that I can never forget. Well, you are all here to learn my science. I will introduce you lots of different things, but I will try to make it very simple as much as possible. And I'm one of those who'd like to be interactive. And if you have any questions you cannot follow, by all means, stop me. I'll be very happy to explain. So some of you may have heard vector-borne diseases. Vectors are like some of you, definitely most of the people in India heard about mosquitoes and heard about malaria, heard about dengue. These are all the infections caused from the bite of a mosquito. Mosquito is called vector. So this is the vector, that means it picks up and serves as a vector to transmit the pathogen. So the malaria is a protozoan parasite. Dengue is a viral parasite, like Dr. Kalyam Garu said. But we talk about bacterial infections too. So vectors means not the mosquito is not the only vector. There are lots of other vectors. The vector that I will introduce today, those are basically ectoparasites. It is called tick. In India, I don't know the exact Telugu word. Tick is basically, it feeds on people and animals for sucking the blood. But when they suck the blood, they pick up the bad germs like bacteria, virus, and parasites, and then they pass them on to the new hosts. That new host could be dogs, new host could be cattle, new host could be any animals, new host could be humans.
Jalaga?
చెప్పండి.
Jalaga nadu?
Jalaga kaadu. Jalaga is a leech. This is a there is a, I forgot. Somebody mentioned the name of it. But I will show you the pictures more. You will recognize them. But the vector-borne diseases, like diseases from these kind of ectoparasites, have a more impact in over the centuries. I think they're always there, and I will give you more information about the ticks and other ectoparasites. They transmit these pathogens and cause serious impact, as this statement clearly states. There are more human disease and death over centuries, not only from 17th to 20th, although it was mentioned by the statement by him, but even in the past. Okay, this is the tick. Anyone saw? This is the adult female tick. And this is the same adult female tick. Here is magnified, but here is the male version of that female. And here is a stage before that, we call it nymphal stage. And even before that, it's a larval stage. Larval stage is so small that you barely can see it. But this is the adult. Imagine that. So all these stages of ticks can feed on people. Let me click this button. Okay. Here is a video from one of my colleagues. That is the tick, but it's highly magnified. These are very commonly found in Missouri, where we are. It's called Lone Star tick. This is a female tick. It's questing tick. That means it's waiting for somebody to come they can feed on. So like that, these ticks very always try to feed, look for the hosts where they can feed on. Okay, here are the various different forms of the ticks. There are two kinds of ticks, I will tell: hard ticks and soft ticks. This is a hard tick, 4 different species. And this is the tick when they fully engaged, almost it's eating on a dog. And you see that these are all in the cattle. There's lots of ticks feeding on them. On people, we don't see those many ticks, typically 1 or 2. But when they are feeding, they do the same thing. They acquire the infection and or pass the infection to the people and cause the disease. This is the tick before it's feeding. And this is the tick after 8 days of fully fed. Imagine that it enlarges as much as 100 times. Huge size. So it's living on a host, like whether animals or people, for almost 1 week or even longer to acquire, because it's constantly feeding. So they do a lot of unique things to prevent the host to cause immune system to be very active, so that they can live, feed, and the host, like even people cannot sense that the tick is feeding. They hide in places where people cannot even detect them. Mosquitoes, they quickly come and take a bite and leave. But ticks stay on the host for long periods of time, and because that's needed. Because this female tick, once it is fully engaged, like 100 plus, then it drops off and uses all the blood to convert into babies. In other words, make thousands of eggs, like anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 eggs. Then they're released, that these tiny babies will be formed, which we call them larvae. And they feed on a host, feed again, like that till they grow adults. That's where the mating occurs and the life starts. Let me tell you about the tick's very unusual lifestyle. This is the gut that we taken out from one of the ticks. We put them in the lab culture media. We call that basically in a flask with some liquid, giving all the nutrients. And you see that it's still functioning like it is alive after 14 days. So that means the ticks have a very unusual way of living in the environment. Like they can live for 1 full year with no food, and they will still wait for the host to come. So that means they have a very unique ability. And the genome size, the number of genes, if you are familiar with the genetic material in them is almost as much as human genetic material. So it's very unique bugs, and they are known to live for millions of years. And why you may not have heard about ticks, but why it's a major concern about ticks. In India, it is a lot more common on animals, not so much on people. But in the Western world, it's a very serious issue because people have a habit of staying outside, camping, hanging out on parks, and where the ticks can get on people. And then there is a problem with tick-borne diseases. Here is the climatic situation from 1969 to 73. And with time, now we are in 2025. So over the period of time, our global temperatures changed. It's very warm. And with warm climate, and if you click this YouTube, which is I already gave a link, I think it works still, will tell you how the climate changed over a period of the time from early 1960s to current. So how the global warming happened. And what we did that do, that helps various animals and ectoparasites like ticks and mosquitoes to expand their life and ability to survive in the environment. With that, that means they have a more and more opportunity to feed on people and more opportunity to feed on animals. And so that means they are bringing more and more diseases to the people. It has been a major problem in the United States and also across the world. You heard lots of new viral diseases coming from mosquitoes. You know, maybe 20, 30 years ago, you may not have heard about the dengue fever. There is a serious disease, Zika virus. That's something that came. Lots of the tick-borne diseases that also came during the last 3 to 4 decades. All this came because of the expansion and climatic conditions changing and opportunity for these vectors, meaning ectoparasites, to feed on various hosts. Okay, I will. Ticks and mosquitoes, they have various pathogens that they transmit. The bacterial pathogens that we'll talk a lot more. This is one kind of bacterial pathogen. This is another spiral bacteria. And here is the protozoan parasite. And here is the virus. So all these parasites are transmitted from the ticks. And ticks are known to be existing for 30 to 40 million years. So long before we know even humans came into existence, the ticks were there. And these ticks have been passing on these germs to other people. And like Prabhakar Garu just mentioned before my talk, that not all bacteria are bad, right? How many of you know our body is more bacteria than ourselves? So at least 1-to-1 ratio, there are half of the human cells, half of the the cells are bacteria, and as much as even 10 times, depending on which estimates. So we are more of a bacteria than humans. But so what that is telling is not all bacteria are bad. There are a lot of bacteria which are very good, which I will tell you in a minute. But before I go, let me tell you how ticks have been emerging as a major public health concern. If you look at this, I already showed you this image, but ticks, when they start feeding, these nymphal and adult ticks, they feed on the small animals, and then the female lays these eggs and this larva and all kinds of animals where they can feed. So it's not like they're restricted to one host. When they're feeding on different animals, the blood may be having different infections, bacterial, viral, protozoans. All these infections go to the next stage of the life. They pass on to the new host. That new host could be humans. So when the pathogens or the humans or hosts are not used to that new infections, that causes the serious disease. That's why tick-borne diseases are more complex. And if you look at this list, there's all these first light green. These are all bacterial infections coming from ticks. And you see here humans are susceptible to the infections. Same is true with dogs, cattle, horses, various animal species. And here is in the middle, there is a protozoan parasite, and all kinds of viruses are shown in this blue bar. So it's all because the ticks have an ability to survive, have an ability to feed on different hosts, and ability to pass the same infection to new hosts. Before I'm talk about all of the science, I will give you more background about the science in general. And we are made up of cells. So this is one of the examples of a cell we call eukaryotic cell, like with humans, animals, all the vertebrate animals, animals like us have very similar cell. And I would like you to pay attention to a few things. This is where our genetic material will be. We'll call it nucleus. And this is where R is where we make proteins, ribosomes. And see this one. This is called mitochondria. Anyone heard about the word mitochondria? Probably not.
Yeah.
Some of you may have, yes. Mitochondria is nothing but bacteria. And we are breathing today because we have the bacteria. This bacteria is in every cell. And we are breathing today because this mitochondria is also coming from the mother, not from the father. So mothers give more contribution to the offspring besides not equal, more than equal. So that means mitochondria only comes from mothers to the children. So this is a bacteria at one point evolved to be part of the eukaryotic cells. And this is the one without which we can't breathe, because it picks up the oxygen and it processes the glucose that we consume, or all the food. It goes through that mitochondria. It gives byproducts which are important for cells to doubling, for us to grow. It gives all the essentials. And what is more is the energy. We call it ATP. It comes from the mitochondria. So without the bacterium, this particular bacterium, mitochondria, we can't even survive on the on Earth. So because this is the one during the course of human evolution or animal evolution, when the oxygen is more on the Earth, the mitochondria, the bacterium was part of the cells, which became, we're able to be more efficient in using the energy so that we can do very well in growing in all aspects. So the bacteria is an integral part. And all of you also know very well, every day we eat yogurt, dahi, curd, whatever, perugu in Telugu. It's nothing but we're getting bacteria, good bacteria. We call it probiotics. Yesterday, so I was reading what is in this probacteria, the bottle that people here the pharmacists sell, or even any place. It's nothing but the bacteria that we always eat as part of the dahi, yogurt, peru. So bacteria is an integral part. Bacteria is helping us digest, helping us prevent from getting infections. So not all bacteria are bad. I have to keep that in mind. But what it is this bacteria, like you see here, is mitochondria. We call the term symbiosis. Like I get something, they get something. They can grow very well in us with the help of some of our nutrients, and we get a lot more from the mitochondria because it helps us digest our food to make energy, which we always use. That's the benefit of this. And occasionally, some bacteria also gets into the cell. So it is phagocytized. So it is like a bag. But what we do, we have our immune system have a way of fighting this. This is an example of a fighting cells called macrophage. When a bad bacteria comes inside, and we have what is called lysosomes. Lysosomes are basically enzymes which engulf this cell, phagocytized bacterial cell. These have acidified environment, and they break down the bacteria into small bits and pieces, and they throw it away. So that's how we try to defend. And here is mitochondria. This is good bacteria. They're all over. So that's how we fight the infection when we encounter. But sometimes we don't have that full ability to fight the infection, then the bacteria cause sickness. So to prevent the future infections, what we do subsequently, those tiny molecules are not completely thrown away by the cell, but they are presented to different cells, which we call them helper cells, immune cells. These helper cells will be fully prepared to in a future bacterial infection so that we don't get sickness anymore, or they help in making lots of antibodies. These antibodies and all these cells will fight the infection. That's how we always have a way, whether it's animals, cattle, whatever, horses and humans, we always have a way of fighting these diseases. But it is a combination of what our abilities to fight versus what is the ability of these bacterial pathogens to be overcome this fight. So it's always who wins first. We always win most of the time, but there were times that we cannot win against bacteria. That's where we need the support of the doctor. We go to the doctor gives antibiotics. That antibiotics basically nothing but that kills the bacteria so that our immune system will kick in, start functioning and go. Same thing, or we give some inhibitors, they prevent the bacteria to replicate in our system. These are all the medicines that we use, whether it's a natural medicine or supplemented with the drugs or antibiotics. The best medicine, of course, is to stay healthy and breathe well and eat well, and all the exercise and everything else will prevent any of these diseases. Again, some of these bacteria are smart enough to escape this route. They escape from this phagosome into the cytoplasmic environment, what we call it. That's where it's loaded with nutrients. And other bacteria are smart enough to prevent these vesicles, which have the acid and proteolytic enzymes, just like in the digestive system, right? So when they prevent that, then they replicate fine and healthy and happy. And today I'll be talking about a group of bacteria. Actually, they are very close cousins of mitochondria. M stands for mitochondria. Here is mitochondria. All these are mitochondria. And these are very close cousins. They are called rickettsials. These rickettsial bacteria are very similar to mitochondria, but they do harmful things to people and animals. This is the one that is escaped into the cytoplasm where they're replicating large numbers. This is the one, it still stays in the phagosome and also replicating in large numbers. They make serious disease. So this is the mitochondria, and here is the pathogenic bacteria. So what they do, if you go back into here, you see that this mitochondria is literally in close communication with these bacteria. And same is true here, very close neighbors of this. What that is doing is, like I told you a few minutes ago, this mitochondria is giving benefit to us for our cell by a form of ATP, energy generation, and other nutrients that we use them for replication and grow. And exact same nutrients, it tries to take it, this bacteria take from this. And so it's a double-edged sword. We're not only losing our ability to use this mitochondria for our own good, but also the bacteria takes it and makes it more weakened, because we are weakened by two ways: infection and loss of all the nutrients. So that's what these are doing. So basically, it's pathogen is trying to steal from these mitochondria. So here is a typical structures of electron micrograph, where it is a normal cell. When these bacteria cells come and they are inside phagocyte, and now here it's like a safe haven, and all these mitochondria come around to help these bacteria to replicate, to make large numbers, and then they escape, just like they're jumping out of the parachute. from the cell or completely lyse the cell to escape. So what we do in science is understand how this whole process happens, what we can do to prevent all this so that we have an effective means of preventing the diseases. So here is the bacteria that one of the ricket cell bacteria. So that means we need to use and understand how these bacteria are coming. It could be coming from ticks. Here is another ectoparasite. This is the body lice. Some of you, we know that. Pale antar telulo, louse are lice. And they also can cause, and some of these parasites also can acquire this infection and pass the infection to animals and people. And also all these germs, these bacteria live in nature in reservoir animals, which is kind of deer, mice, all kinds of animals. So we get serious sickness when they end up into us. So we have a lot of different pathogens that we investigate. We investigate them for good reason because they are cause serious diseases in people. This is a human causing disease. It's called Ehrlichia schafiensis, and this is the major disease in dogs and some also in humans. Same here. It is a major pathogen in cattle. And here is another major pathogen with various species. And here is another pathogen in cattle. And here is a pathogen which can kill children within 10 days to 14 days. And also same, it can kill dogs in 10 to 14 days. Today, I'll be discussing about the way that we developed a vaccine to prevent this particular pathogen. This is a cattle because it's a lot of high economic importance. And I also talk about this particular pathogen because this is killing children, innocent children. We want to have a solution to that. We'll talk about these two a little bit, but we do investigate all these other pathogens as well. So like I mentioned, any research you have to understand what this pathogen, how this pathogen coming from these ectoparasites like vectors, like ticks, and what is the contributions of these nature, like reservoir hosts. And we call ourselves the incidental hosts, just like other animals like cattle and dogs. So we use these, introduce all these into the research to understand and gain the new knowledge so that we come up with an effective way of solutions to treat the disease. So when we do the research, basically we get the basic scientific knowledge and then take it to the application. So the scientific knowledge involving understanding how the disease is called, which we call it as pathogenesis, and how the pathogens have the ability to stay in a host like animals and vectors like in the ticks. And so those interactions are very critical. What is it unique about these germs, and how the humans and other animals fight the immunity or unable to fight the immunity. Those components are also equally important. So we gain the new knowledge from that to apply, and so that requires the bacterial unique way of expressing proteins at a gene level, at a genetic material. So we understand all those details with ultimate goals of developing tools to diagnose the diseases and also develop vaccines to prevent the disease. These days, after COVID, a lot of common men also know what is vaccine. But let me tell you, there are three kinds of vaccines that most people get or would develop. The best way I thought I will explain is by showing this damaged car or part of the car or intact looking car. So this is, imagine that a functionally normal car, it moves. Now that's looks like this. So that means that's how the bacteria or viruses are. So non-functional, but it still we recognize this as a car. So if we provide this kind of defective, inactivated version of the bacteria or virus, that is still seen by the immune system. Oh, it looks like that particular bacteria. Then we develop immunity. That's they call vaccination. When we develop that immunity, then the live infection will not cause any serious disease. That is the whole entire set of the bacterial proteins will be in this one. Subunit vaccine, we call it. It's like a part of the, like, a cop or a policeman is trying to chase a criminal. He's running away in a car. What he will target, he will try to shoot the tires. When the tire become flat, the car will not run, then they can catch the criminal. The same way, when we call it subunit vaccine, that means we take one or two of the proteins and then we inject them to activate the immune system, so that immune system recognizes this entire thing, so prevent the disease. That is the subunit vaccine. Modified live vaccine, essentially it looks like the functionally normal car, except that maybe it is lacking the engine inside, or it makes the tires flat, but rest everything looks good. So these are the three different forms of vaccines that we scientists develop. That is how we provide immunity. In our research, and everything depends on what maybe. It's not like all in Telugu, that's పిడుగుకి బియ్యానికి ఒకే మంత్రం పనికిరాదు అంటారు. So that means for the lightning or for eating, you can't do the same prayer. We have to use different prayers. So like that, depending on what pathogen, we have to use a different kind of vaccine formulations. All that is decided based on what we learn about all the scientific knowledge. That's all we do as a scientists. Get lots of knowledge, then come up with solutions to have a problem solved. So like I mentioned, I will be discussing about these two different pathogens for one good reason, because this particular pathogen causes huge economic losses, not only in the United States, but all the way to India, South America, North America, all throughout Asia, Africa, the entire world. So that means we have a good vaccine which help reduces the problem, so that we have lots of milk, so that people can drink and grow well in parts of the world. It's also a major source for the meat for the food. So we are developing vaccine, which I will talk to briefly. And since, like I mentioned, that we all have a purpose to save the lives of people. I always am touched with the loss of life from this disease causing agent. So we are working to prevent this disease in children. Okay, let me talk about this particular first pathogen. It is called, the disease is called bovine anaplasmosis. Bovine means cattle, cattle disease. The pathogen's name is Anaplasma marginale. And so this is a major economical important disease throughout the world. And it can, once it infects the cattle, like 3 out of 10 animals can easily die. And again, like I said, serious economic losses because of all these. And it's throughout the world, and lots of ticks pass this infection. They reside inside the red blood cells. They replicate and make them severely anemic. So anemia. What we did is, so this is the life cycle. Why this is a serious disease? Because cattle to cattle, the pathogen can easily go. And with the help of ticks also, there are 20 different ticks which can pass this infection, which circulates from the ticks into the red blood cells in the animals, causing the serious disease. So we, like I mentioned, that there are 3 different ways that a vaccine can be developed. And in this case, the most effective vaccine is the live vaccine, which should be very similar to the live bacteria. What we have done is we used a genetic manipulations. I mean, in other words, using the gene, deleting one of the important genes of the bacteria. Gene is important for making a protein. So that protein is not there, the bacteria won't cause a severe disease. That kind of vaccine we call as modified live vaccine. When we developed that vaccine, the animals stayed completely healthy, contrary to the disease the pathogen is causing. So there are several ways we test that parameters. Here is the vaccinated animals. We see PCV, it's called packed cell volume. In a simple language, like if you take 1 ml of blood, we look under the high-speed centrifugation rotation, all the blood will be settled as a red form packed cells, which are red blood cells. On the top will be, we call it serum or plasma, which has all the other nutrients in the blood. That packed cell volume is nothing but number of bacterial red blood cells. Typically, is about 35% of the volume. And when the infection causes, it drops down. That means it's killing a lot of those red blood cells. It's going down. And that causes the serious disease for the animals to die or make them seriously ill. When we vaccinated that, that is completely prevented. That's how we know that this disease is not causing a serious problem when we vaccinate. And here is another measure. Then when you take the same blood and you test that, you see the bacteria everywhere in the blood cells during the peak infection. When we vaccinate that, it's all came down to low level to the undetectable levels. So there are other ways that we look. Here is the normal red blood cells, and here is normal lymphocytes, we call them. There are other cells in the blood. Here is the neutrophils, we call them. So these are all the cells that they fight the infections. But when infection is there, the cells become abnormal, the like size becomes big. Here is the bacteria inside, and here is the immature, that means not very healthy red blood cells. And these lymphocytes, which are supposed to immune cells, became immature, not ready to fight the infection. Same thing that you see here. So when we vaccinate them, all these animals restored to almost normal levels compared to unvaccinated animals. So that means the vaccine that we developed has the ability to fight the infection, and we have demonstrated this. And now we are currently working with a big animal industry to take this to the market. If this is taken to the market, then we first test it in the US. If that works, then the hope is that we take it to the other parts of the world, like India or wherever there is the interest to treat and improve the animal health. So that means we have a good outcomes from this disease, so that people will have a more improved economy and lots of good milk. Then I will introduce to the other disease that I talked about. These are called also rickettsial diseases. There are two rickettsial diseases I thought I will tell you. One of them, it is called epidemic typhus. This is caused by this particular pathogen, Rickettsia prowazekii. It kills every third person infected. 3 out of 10 people will die. It's very deadly. It's coming from body lice, and believe it or not, it changed the course of the outcomes of war battles. Like even you will not be surprised. It's not surprising that some of the wars are lost or gained because of this infection from this particular pathogen. Why? Because during the war, when people are assembled together because of the lack of resources or concentration camps or not unhygienic conditions, then there is body lice, which are, we call them pelu. They grow so many large numbers, and this infection, you see them, it's loaded inside the cell, that kill people in large numbers. But that only happens, and is highly fatal disease, but that only happens when during war times. But this particular one, which is transmitted from the tick, which is called Rickettsia rickettsii, scientifically, and it's also called Rocky Mountain spotted fever disease. It also has the same kind of death toll, 30 to even up to 80%. Unfortunately, this happens for the children. So, and since it's still killing large numbers, we have decided to develop a vaccine that prevents this disease. This is a disease that you can see, it's always on the rise. This is the United States. But if you look here, it was discovered as back as 100 years ago. It's a lot of death. But with time, we don't see those many deaths, although infection is still raising. Why is that? That is because of a drug I told you early on, antibiotic called doxycycline. Antibiotics, if we give them early on, that will prevent the infections and cause the death. This is the way that in the United States, doxycycline is given to the children. They are whoever gets sick with this, and the death rate is dropped down from 30 to 80% to less than 1%. But it's not the case with many parts of the world, like Mexico. So we developed a vaccine, and parts of the poor neighborhoods, even in the United States, we call Indian reservations. So we come up with a vaccine that is targeted to prevent infections in the dogs, because dogs also get the same disease, and that pathogen is highly circulating, and from the dogs people will get it. If we prevent the infections and the disease in the dogs, it also prevents the infection and disease in people. Just like rabies vaccination that most of you are familiar with. So what we have done is that the vaccination restored complete normal healthy atmosphere. Here is the control animals where we see this is in the brain, lungs, and liver. This is the kind of tissue we see healthy. And if it is infection, you see that all these black dots, purple dots, whatever. So that means there's infection causes severe damage in the brain. Same thing here, or severe damage in the lungs. So open spaces is where you can imagine that you're able to breathe, and that is reduced in infection. And also same thing, complete damage to the liver and other parts of the disease. But when we vaccinated them, that is completely reversed, and so they look very healthy. This is the vaccine I'm talking about. So they look very healthy, very similar to no infection. So we have various ways that we measured that. One of the measures is like high fever, and when we vaccinate, the fevers are gone and people are stayed healthy. And again, we see it in many ways that very healthy looking lungs and other tissues. And here is a liver. And what we have done is, if we are vaccinating, but this is a deadly pathogen, this is a whole bacteria from which we created this vaccine. This is, we call it the first form, like a damaged car. And it's always a risk and possibility that some of this damage may not necessarily fully complete. Then they can cause a serious disease. So we came up with a novel vaccine where we identified a bacterium which does not cause a disease at all in humans or dogs. And then we use that to create a vaccine. And that vaccine has the ability to protect. And here is what we call this red line: complete protection, 100% healthy, whereas non-vaccinated animals die 60% of the time. So this virulent strain, we call it non-pathogenic strain vaccine, is a game changer, because we can safely apply this for animals as well as for humans. When we do that, here is the scientifically, here is in the bone marrow and other parts is complete damage, and it's complete restoration into the healthy structures. Same thing, this is the testis. If you very close, there will be testicular sperm cells germinating, very healthy, but infection causes severe damage. But when we vaccinated, everything completely healthy, like that. Same thing that we see in various other tissue forms. So we are so happy that we have developed this vaccine, and now we are speaking with an industry so that we can use this vaccine to treat people. So with that, I think I introduced you a lot of different things, and I told you about how basic science works, how a cell fights the infection, and how an infection causes the cell to not able to fight the infection, and what are the ways that we come up with solutions to overcome such infections like vaccines. But all this research is done with lots of young scientists, that some of them I listed from my scientific group during the last last 10 years. These are all coming from all parts of the world, from left to right, from China to India, Africa, India, Africa, and America and South America, and you name it. There are people from all parts of the world get involved in doing this research, and we get lots of scientific support to do this research from the federal government in the US, and also from industry, and also foundations. That's how we have been doing impactful research. I think I will stop from here, and I will open for questions if you have anything.
Thank you, Professor Roman Garu. It's very, very good talk. I think you have probably met your goal of reaching everybody. It was very visual, very simple to follow, very, much good flow of information. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'll probably open up the comments. Nana, you want to give some comments, and then invite Chandra Reddy Garu to give some remarks. You're muted, Nana.
Thank you. So much knowledge you have packed in your head. And also, you try to catch people of like-mindedness and make them work, and you work with them and make some very good contribution to the world of knowledge, and the same time utility of it. And when you are describing about these bacteria and all that, I was telling what kind of war is going on inside our body, whether it's animal or human. But when we say that we are healthy because of the victory of the war going on inside, and only when there is some difficulty, then only we think of doctor. So we don't think of doctor as long as we are healthy, active, eat. You just now said, eat well, sleep well, do your work well, and no problem. So for all this kind of happiness, well, the bacteria is also important. Say bad bacteria, good bacteria, and these vaccines you are preparing. So the virus is there, but you are trying to catch. And moreover, to catch all these bacteria or animals, small, and focus them under microscope and prepare diagrams, well, our horizon of knowledge has simply become bigger, something like Bangalore airport and New York airport. That's what, when I first landed in New York, 1993, I never have an idea about the airport beauty in Bangalore. It was just small one in the airport road. But when we came here, so much. Similarly, you are all the great researchers and scientists. Open up the vistas of knowledge and also experience and cure and all this. Actual as Vedic people or religious people, we keep on making prayer. If somebody complains, I have got this problem, we say, think of Guruvayur or Krishna, think of this and all that. But thinking of all these fellows is okay. But practically something should be done. What something we do, that will be supported by the Paramatma. So the divine grace is always plus. Ishvara is there behind all our activity, and in fact, surgeon will say probably, I don't know, before he starts the operation, I make prayer to God, you also make prayer God. So both of them make prayers and see that the work is being successfully favorable. So sir, this is a very vast subject. So many years of research you have carried in your head, and so much of vaccine to protect and extend the life of the animal and man, because that's more important life actually as such. So the jiva is important, and so very happy. And you have only focused the role of bacteria. And we have also, if you go to doctor, fever. So we have got fever itself seems to be a very big subject. In Hyderabad, we have got a fever hospital. You can imagine. So for fever only in hospital, big hospital, I've seen the building, I don't know inside. So like that, everything is enormous and that's all Ishvara Srishti. And Ishvara is working through the minds of all people to be able to find out what is my magic, whether positive or negative with the people. But anyway, so Gita is Bhagavad Gita is one where Krishna is able to cover all that. Therefore, we have got hundreds of commentaries on Gita writings like that. So you're all doctors. Here we have got neurologist, our Neeraj Arora and his wife. His wife is a scientist. He is also a neurologist. And so when all doctors meet, you can see that contribution, how in each direction it is extensive. In fact, I'm thinking of Chandra Reddy also to talk about the cancer. Because so cancer, tuberculosis, and diabetics, and blood pressure, these are all in Sanskrit. Shankara simply says Vishajwaras. And Garuda is the only one who can remove all the Visham. So Vishajwaras don't leave us. They are very dangerous and long drawn ones. But still, we have uh, doctors who are able to fight. Actually every surgeon, every doctor is fighting with the disease and he will know all these things. So great, sir. Because so much knowledge is there. We only look at this Padapurugu. It was able to carry a lump of dung. And Padapurugu or mosquito or even leeches or even the bugs. See, everything is a bug. When they don't allow you to sleep well, even though your bed is comfortable, the bugs will you. So there are these they live upon, and still you are able to focus on such minute and big animals which are causing lot of problem for the human life or life as such. So Jogjivaha Pasyem. In Saur Suktam, there is a beautiful statement. Jogjivaha Pasyema Saradasyatam. Jog Jivaha means we should be live, healthy, prosperous, and see more and more light and so we only go to Veda, but though they don't know all these details, they may be knowing, but they give only results. In Veda, we get only results. But what is the homework or rough work they did, we don't know. That God gives to the brains. That's why the rough work you are doing, the homework, something like in mathematics, two margins are there. Right margin is bigger, left margin. For left margin, the teacher won't give any marks. For right margin, he will add marks also. How you are able to work it out. So that manner, you are all there great in the field of research and science and all that, so that we are able to. So today I learned a lot that we only know few the mosquito or bug or flies. And we literally people say flies flinches on the filth, spread the disease. But whereas the butterfly only on the flower takes the honey, makes people happy. So they say that be a butterfly, be a bee, but not trouble the flower, but give wonderful sweet liquid or honey. So, sir, very nice. Thank you very much that you are able to reach people with a little knowledge. Now I request Dr. Chandra Reddy and also our neurologist and next to his wife is also sitting. She's a scientist. And you only saw the photograph of our Romans showed the photograph of the wife with baby, so happy, richer than earlier. So not money rich makes people rich. The children that born, because it is said, Ananda Grandhi Rekoyam Apachamiti Kachate. Ananda Grandhi, there are so many glands in our body, but this is Ananda Grandhi according to a dramatist. So thank you, sir. Now I ask Chandra Reddy Garu, please come up, because you are this way, that way, and every way. Homeopathy, allopathy, and also Ayurveda, and all these things you are having introduction, and so you're welcome, sir. Please give some comments.
Okay. Namaste. First of all, let me tell you, sir, from bottom of my heart, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to participate in this very enlightening talk today by Dr. Roman Reddy Garu. Now, I was asked initially to give the vote of thanks, but thank you very much for giving some time to share my knowledge from aspect of the allopathy, which I'm medical hematology and oncologist. And then I did 3 years of master's at Maharshi International University Ayurveda program. Nothing knowledge in the homeopathy. So my knowledge is both in allopathic Western medicine and Eastern medicine, our Ayurveda. Now, let me first of all tell, congratulations, sir, Roman Reddy Garu, for becoming a grandfather. That's 1 week ago. And also congratulations on your wedding anniversary and a symbiotic life with the spouse. That is that gives a lot of fulfillment in the life, along with your renowned research. And I had an opportunity to look into your biography and background, and really, we are very fortunate. We are blessed to have listened to your enlightening talk today. Now, since I have always enthusiastic, and I'm a jijnasu in more of Vedic knowledge. And when I did my Ayurvedic medicine, I always trying to see the integrated medicine on that. Now, the research you have been doing with the background, I heard that in your, I think, suffering almost 6 months or 8 months with the malaria, that motivated you to get into this, the established.
Well, I'm glad you read that.
And that's really, I think, that there is always a cause and effect, and I think God has some direction given to you, and it is exactly humanity at a greater level. Now, having said that one, how much time I have, sir, Prabhakar Garu? How much time? Sadhgar? Huh? Okay. Okay. So, when we talk about the diseases or human beings or animals, we talk about only 3 entities. There is, I always remember as the 3 J's: Jiva, Jagat, and Jagadishwara. And these 3 entities have a creation, both living and non-living, made by 5 elements and 3 gunas. So your work is now looks like more confined to your humans and animals, and how the impact of those bacterial diseases and the finding of the vaccinations preventing. The difference between the Western medicine and the Eastern medicine is, it's like in the fire at the house. You have given a beautiful example about the wrecked car and partially punctured car, all those things. But our human body and is like a fire. When the fire in the house, the Western medicine extinguishes the fire, whereas Ayurvedic medicine rebuilds the house, maintains the house, and prevents the fire. And that's the greatness of the Ayurveda. So in present days, I think it is a necessity. It's a need of the hour is. I know you're facing a lot of problems with the present government and their policies, and vaccinations is one of the big topic now. It is sad that they're putting the knowledge, Vedic knowledge, Ayurvedic knowledge, Western knowledge aside and not following that. But this particular aspect is that we need to do that is in the creation, those the 5 creations are there. In the 5 creations is the first Manasa Putras, mind-born. Mind-born are only to the Devas. All the Saptarishis and all these Sanat Kumaras and Naradas, they're all mind-born. They get only mind-born diseases, no physical, because there is no body. So the next level of the creation is the 4 levels of those things. One is called Jarayuzu, which is the womb-born, and we all know, you're all educated and enlightened. Jarayuzu is the main thing that we deal with the human beings. Then we have Andaja and egg-born, and then you have a Udbija, which is the earth-born, and then of course Svedaja and sweat-born, which basically we are talking about mainly those mosquitoes and all these banana flies and all those things, they're all interconnected. And, we feel sometimes ego-centered, not God-centered. So we forget that entire these three entities, Jiva, Jagat, and Jagadishwara, is interdependent. And then you beautifully explained about this, the three Trimurti, either Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, or Saraswati, Lakshmi, or Parvati. So those things, when we translate those things, since we are made of the five elements, the three gunas, you DNA that genome. And I was surprised to learn from you, sir, today that the human genome and this the genome equivalent to the tick and other things are almost equivalent. And then mitochondria being the bacteria itself. And that is really fascinating to know for that. And those are the powerhouses of the oxygen. And then I call that mycobacterium is the prana on that one. So prana is the vitality, and the final energy is they call in Ayurveda as Ojas, which is the ATP type of energy. So all these are interconnected and interdependent. And then you are doing the human services on this thing. Now, I was fascinated with the kind of the impact of these things, the tick-borne and mosquito-borne, and we are all aware in India, dengue and malaria is a very prominent one. I had an opportunity to work for 5 years before I came to USA and did the fellowship in hematology oncology. I worked as a epidemiologist. Initially as an epidemiologist, then special officer in the WHO, World Health Organization, and the National Institute of Communicable Diseases, India. So during that time, I was working with the falciparum containment program, malaria disease on that one, through the rural areas, anywhere in Orissa and Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Now, fascinating thing is that the research that you have been doing, it has to be distributed to the Western medicine, particularly as a talk that you have given in excellent, as Prasad Garu mentioned, that very palatable banana type of knowledge, and peel off and gave it to you. But most of this research, sometimes we call it a pomegranate or the coconut type of knowledge, very difficult to understand, very difficult to digest on that. However, I think my interest is with the sequence of the presentation you have given. I think this knowledge has to be spread to the medical schools, and where this integrated medicine, including the Ayurvedic and the Western medicine, has to be given at the educational very beginning of the medical students. So that can be integrated into the all fields of practice, irrespective of whatever the field they are practicing in the community on that. Now, for that, it needs a movement. I think, One Health is the one that, has been taking shape now. I think that is the future belongs to that one. And then they have to interconnect not only the animal, human, but they have to interconnect with the environmental health. Environmental health is the one which has to be integrated, because that is one of the things, the impact we are seeing it, both in the Western areas and also in the Europe areas, with the floods and fires and so many things, all because of disturbances in this DNA imprint, the karmic imprints, I call it. And those karmic imprints, that beautiful point you made it, I made it a note here. I made a note is that one, when we do those kind of analogy you gave, is that vehicle analogy, when how do we make the vaccine? On that one is, I think the completely broken vehicle is a kind of, tamasic type of thing. And the partially flat tire is called rajasic. Then, of course, attenuated, kind of the virus is the sattvic. So this type of thing, these three, which we plugged into that Ayurvedic knowledge, because human body itself is the one which we are dealing with, that in encounter with the environment and other fellow beings, as we say adi daivik, adi bhautik, and adi adhyatmic type of thing. So when we integrate these things, we have to make sure how we can bring this knowledge together, because our body itself is made up of 5 elements, as I said, but 8 organ systems that are made in the Western medicine is nothing but equivalent to that. For example, is a mosquito skeletal system is equivalent to the earth, where and then water is equivalent to the cardiovascular system. Immunology is a kind of ego type of thing. All those kind of thing, 8 organ systems are plugged with Ashtaprakriti, 5 elements, manas, buddhi, and ahankar. And this 10 mandalas, our Vedic mandala is also the first to 10 mandalas of Rigveda is plugged into this. The first one is the Prakriti, and then second to 9 or this Ashtaprakriti, and then 10th is the Purusha. So if we integrate this Ayurvedic medicine and also the Western medicine with the excellent research you have been giving it, I think that is the one thing that future belongs to that. That's only then we can make the one health. The one health is that everything is that Ekam, Ishvara, or whatever that is there. Once we know that one is brings the health to everybody, and and then as Prabhakar Garu mentioned, that there are no good and bad bacteria. There are only good bacteria. There are no good and bad human beings. There are only good beings. That's because we are all created by one, and that creation is auspicious. That creation is good. Satchitanandam. There is no bad thing anywhere. We make it bad. We manipulate with the ego-centered actions. The environment is collapsed, and we manipulate. We make the bacteria bad. We make the human beings bad. I think this is where this research by Dr. Roman Reddy Garu tremendously helps, if we can integrate into both the Ayurveda and also the Western medicine, particularly these two, with the naturopathy, whatever that you want to integrate. I think that is the future that is needed, and that is the only solution for the problems we are facing it. So with this, I think, and I don't want to take too much of time, because the floor belongs to today our esteemed and keynote speaker, Roman Reddy Garu. Then we'll open for the questions.
Thank you. Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, and congratulations again, Roman Garu. Two great news, your anniversary and very, very cute grandchild. Thank you for sharing with us. Neeraj, I don't know if you're there. If you have any remarks you want to add?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhakar ji. Thank you, Prasad ji. And thank you, Chandra Garu and Roman ji. So the discussion that I have been hearing, that has been excellent. I was there for most of the part of the presentation. So that was so inspiring for me. I do work as a neurologist, and we do take care of the tick-borne disease day in and day out, sometimes in the ICU settings. So that is very inspiring that I never, like at MU itself, Romanji is working. So now I have a good resource connection. That is one thing I could say easily. And other thing is like, it's all like very, very fascinating. Like from a small research to big projects about this tick-borne disease, these are definitely very important. Not just as a part of like a MU, but as a humanity in general. So thank you for shedding the lights on a lot of important points. I also have to thank Chandraji in regards to the point of integrating Ayurveda and the Western medicine. And I think this is Lord Krishna's some arrangement that he has made this platform, because I have been in touch with a few of our colleagues to ask them like how we can do this. And looks like some dots are getting connected. We thank you for, like, I personally thank you, like, for bringing this point that, yeah, we need to get the connection of Ayurveda and Western medicine. It's like with the efforts of like-minded people only, this is possible. So, I would say that this is just the beginning, and we need to get more connections in order to come up with the proper planning. Third, I want to say in regards to what Chandraji also mentioned, that Jeev, Jagat, and Jiva, Jagan, Jagdishwar, Jeev, Jagat, and Jagdishwar. And beside that, there are two other factors called karma and time, Kal and karma. So all the this bacteria or the animals, everything is according to they are doing their own job. So because they are also living species. So in one way, we can say that for sure they are also living entities. However, they are the one who are disrupting the humanity, and we think like, okay, because they are disrupting the humanity, they do not have the right to live. That is not the case. However, but in Mahabharata also, as well as in Gita also, there is a mention of 6 aggressors that one could kill. One of it is if in case that is causing problems, like either they are invading the house, or they are plundering the wealth, or they are setting the things on fire. Like that, there are 6 aggressors which are mentioned. And I think the bacteria is one of them. Like they invade the human body and they cause the destruction. So definitely, as a scientists all over here, Romanji is doing excellent work. That yes, tick-borne disease is one of the things that we need to work on. So I'm just trying to make this connection. Um, I think this is also a great platform to engage the school children, specifically the high school children, and so that they can become familiar. If we can try to make some connections with Romanji, Chandraji, and in regards to the CPS, the school system itself, where some high school students, if they want to either learn more or at least they want to work on this subject, that might be a good way. And Chandraji has also done this Ayurveda degree from Maharshi International University. So the same thing I was thinking about it few months ago. So I think you might be my mentor on this aspect. But the point is, this is something that we all need to work on, and getting more the school children at the labs, like when they do hands-on experience. I'm sure Romanji might also tell us, like, has he been working with some of the high school kids, because they all they want to explore more, so they might be a great resource. Think with this, I would like to thank you, Prabhakar ji and Prasad ji, for giving this opportunity, and congratulations, Roman ji, for like double, triple, what you can say, pleasures of the life.
Right.
Yes. Thank you so much.
If Mrs. Neeraj, you have
Yeah.
also committed, yes, you are also on the
Yeah,
road.
please, Prasad.
Yeah, she's
Please
there
come on,
with me.
yes.
No,
Yes.
good morning, everyone. And I really enjoyed all the discussions we had. So all the points were beautifully covered. I think the only, as everybody mentioned, we have to integrate. So the only suggestion, like, so not suggestion, like a thought that came in, like how to integrate the wisdom that you have with the kids here so that they can have more hands-on experience, because they are the future. So they should have experience. Uh, the If we have the resources, let them also avail those resources, and they can learn from the wisdom that you have, and in that way they can get nurtured in a way. And in the because young minds have very brilliant ideas in their head, and sometimes those ignite more fine research. So that was only like, how can we engage kids in this particular area? Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I have been asking, what about this typhoid? They say waterborne diseases. So typhoid is waterborne. What is anything further about it? Water also contains bacteria which will cause long drawn fevers.
Yeah, you said at the beginning, right? Water has bacteria. So the typhoid bacteria, Dr. Arora can tell more as a doctor, but it's a typhoid bacteria is basically coming from feces, human excreted feces that have contaminations, and then that can come in either water or polluted food, drinking water from a people who already have that infection in them, because the bacteria still stay in them. So those are shedded at times, and then that pass on to the naive, innocent people, and they cause disease. And I think we talked about it. Not Dr. Chandra Reddy said nothing is bad. Even the bad bacteria is not bad bacteria. We are all created. When I look at my granddaughter, everybody is born like angels. God gifted us as angels on earth, but we got polluted with the environment. Some take the good side, some take the bad side, some become bad. Same thing with the bacteria. The bacteria I talked about is a mitochondria, is a rickettsial bacteria, which is endosymbiotic bacteria, help us. The other rickettsia which are causing disease are pathogenic bacteria. There are few others, there are a lot more. So that means when we are in contact, like say when I'm interacting with Prabhakar Garu, like for example, very recently, we had a positive energy exchange. So then we both are benefiting from that positive energy. And when you interact with some people with no reason of yours, maybe the negative energy sheds from the other side, either you retrieve back or you stay close and find the best way, or you end up having negative interactions, which becomes a bad outcomes. So that's what people fight. So, but to begin with, none of us are bad. The bacteria is not bad. The salmonella bacteria, which is causing this typhoid, is like that. The person who is shedding that bacteria is not getting sick, but the person who is acquiring it gets seriously sick. So it is where we balance. I gave a great analogy. I give that to everyone. When we see the fire or a light, we use it as a light. You have to send some distance. Light is great. And if the fire becomes too big, that's still good. You can use it as a warming up your body or cooking food and all those. That fire becomes exponentially big, it can burn the whole village. And we have to learn where to keep our distance from that fire. The closer you are, the smaller fire, you're fine. The fire is big, you keep distance far. So we only enjoy the warmth of it, hear the light of it, but not get burned from it. So human body has the same way to fight these bacterial infections. Or some of these bacteria, they live inside, helping us, they're living as well. The harmonious living. This is what we have been always taught in our culture, be harmonious. And so I think sometimes bodies cannot stand, just like people get sick. So that is where I think keeping our body and mind healthy is very important to not get any diseases. But that is the story of Salmonella typhimurium, which is a typhoid bacteria. Dr. Arora, you have anything to add?
Yes, Romanji, thank you very much. I would say that you covered a lot of points. As long as this the Salmonella bacteria is not causing problems, it is all good, and that's what I mentioned. The Ayurveda teaches this, how to keep the balance. When this invasion comes to the point that it starts causing problems like ulcers in the intestines, which is one of the manifestations, or then it starts spreading in the body to the point of other organs go into failure, then is the time for sure that one needs to be very, very active. And as like professionals or as like infectious disease person, what we do is we just become so proactive that as soon as we see something, we are on guard. You just try to kill. That is not the way, but like that is what actually is happening in the
Exactly. We have
Western
to allow the
medicine.
body to fight naturally.
Yes, first, we do not allow the body to fight. We just do it in such a proactive way
Yeah.
that as soon as we find some salmonella in the body, okay, let's just kill it. So that's not the way actually, because our body is full of bugs all the time. It's
Yeah.
just the whether it's causing invasion or not, that makes the difference.
Yes. To add to both Roman Reddy Garu and Dr. Arora, from the Ayurvedic point of view, and most of us, scientific field, even doctors, they don't know the difference between the manas or mind and consciousness. Most of us, and then even today they are struggling, how to integrate those two. Now, most of us also don't know we have a second brain, and that's the gut. Gut is our second brain. And then the gut has its own axis, its own pathways. And as a neurologist attest to that one, neurology talks about only those 12 cranial nerves and peripheral nerves. But our Veda shows there are 101 main nadis, including the Susumna Nadi and Pingala and Ida. And not only that, 101 nadis, they have 72,000, nadis that spread this energy and. So the point I'm making is that entire colon, particularly colorectal area, as a microbiome, and most of the bacteria we need them, just like in a mitochondria, we need them, and as long as we are friendly with them, as Bhagavad Gita says, that mind can be your own friend or it could be worse enemy. So microbacteria is the same thing. They're all good. But we put everything in the hamburgers and all this junk food into our stomach. Still they tolerate, but we are disturbing the environment internally and externally, and that is the problem, where the problem stands. And the problem is there, and solution is itself in the problem. So once we realize that, I think there will be peace and harmony.
Beautiful. Very nice. So, Babu, you have got something to offer with all this discussion.
No, I think it's a great discussion, and yeah, it's really wonderful to have the satsang and all the information that was shared. And so I think it's good to finalize the program.
Whatever, one point, we only always talking about God and all that is one aspect of life, but also go into the details what God is working at for the life continuation or life stoppage. In fact, our Aruna Prashna will tell us the gods are our killers. Sun, moon, fire, and Agni, Vaju, Surya, Chandrama. These are all the four people. We are happy at them, but they are the killers, actually speaking. Slowly. Therefore, they are called Chandrama Chaturuchyate. The fourth one is Chandrama. Because we always want to be cool, and cool. Healthy. That health itself will take us away. Therefore, and when we search, when we put our searchlight into the world of Veda, otherwise, as Chandra Reddy pointed out, this we go to Jiva. Now Jagannath, Ashada Masam, Jagannath Rathayatra is going on live for 3-4 days. So Jagannatha and Jagadishwara and Jagadeka and all these things, they're all working together. And today, because of Romans' interference and acceptance, we all have got good new knowledge. And secondly, whatever knowledge is introduced to school children will stand long time, and that will be inspiration for their further work. Because we remember school teachers more than any other teacher. College professors, we forget all people, but only school teachers. As he said, 2 teachers are there. For me also, there are some. So everybody has got the school teachers
Impact.
to make everybody change their attitude and become something great. In fact, when Anjaneya Prasad visited his national high school, the teachers were so happy and looking at his working and all this, everybody. So that way, the teachers will be very happy when they see their own students growing high. Probably, if our Roman were to go to his village and meet his old teachers, still very much old, they would be excited and all that. So anyway, sir, this is a wonderful time. when we are talking about the jivas, visible, invisible, and all that. That's why the Theosophical Society people, when they want to give talk, oh, visible for visible brothers and invisible brothers, like that they talk. They start their talk in Theosophical Society because so like that. Very happy, sir. Thank you very much. Nana, tell the you can conclude. I don't know whether Sivalinga is there or not.
Yes.
So,
Om Sahana Vavato Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Vijam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Satam. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Shri Vasudevarpanamastu. Shri Veda Purusha Shirvadostu. Om Shri Matru Charanaravindar Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Namaste.